honest. We obviously never wanted to see him go, and even when he did, we all wanted to see him back.
It was something that I never wanted to happen to begin with. You know, even once it was like I knew I was being traded, like I don't know if I ever let it go. You know, it was hard to let go. I literally, after I tore my Achilles and I felt it, and I was sitting on the floor, I grabbed it and I rolled over and I sat up. And the first thought that I had to myself was like, I'm about to come back from an Achilles. We got to the back, and when the doctor said, you tore your Achilles, like I think everybody else had more pity for me than I did. Like I had the PTs, like, you know, about to cry and all of that stuff. Like I didn't cry. Like you said, it's a mental battle, but you know, if it's I don't lose those.
I told him that this year he's going to be the highest paid assistant coach in league history.
Like Chauncey said, I'm basically going to be like an assistant coach. So I'll be around, and with this being a younger team, it's a lot of things that I can share, you know, without having to be on the floor.
A lot of ground covered there, but I gotta say, it's good to see Dame back. It's Fitz, Damian Lillard back in Portland, alongside Bobby Marks, Shanae Ogwumike, Ramona Shelburne, our Stanford sisters rocking the Cardinals red here. Our senior writer, Brian Windhorst, beaming in. Brian, when you look at Dame's return through the lens of what this means for the Portland Trail Blazers in the short and long term, how are you viewing this team in a really crowded Western Conference?
Well, that had to be very therapeutic for Blazer fans, seeing those images and hearing from Dame sitting in front of the Blazers logo again, because the organization, quite frankly, hasn't been the same since he left. They've been in a rebuild. They didn't have high expectations, but they've been underwhelming even in their status of their rebuild. So I think it's a great moment for Blazers fans. This particular way they've structured this deal, where they're paying him the full mid-level this year and next year, I guess it's a value next year, but this year they've got $40 million in dead money when you include the buyout to DeAndre Ayton and what they're paying Dame to be an assistant coach by their own admission. But they traded for Jrue Holiday, who's a $100 million investment to win more immediately, while they've also got this young team and a star player they're not going to have till next year. So they're kind of stuck in between both worlds. And I expect them to have good nights and bad nights this season, and I do not see them as a playoff team.
Shanae always says the worst place to be in the NBA is in the middle. I get all the warm and fuzzies, though, seeing Damian Lillard back in Portland. But from a team perspective, Shanae, they talked a lot about wanting to win. I was a little bit surprised that they leaned less into the nostalgia in this conference, which there were times, but also this is a team that still has ambition to win in the West.
Well, they still have another year of growth for the young stars before Dame really comes back. And if you think about it, you know, the word that comes to my mind is peace. You're going to see a peaceful transition of power. Dame is now the quote-unquote assistant coach, right?
Right.
But now he's going to be able to show the young guys what it takes to be great at this level, which I love. And it also gives peace to Dame, because pursuing a championship comes at a cost. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But at least he found that peace again. And so did the fans, because everyone loves to see him back, you know, at least from a PR perspective. But overall, what you're seeing is someone that is going to come in still at a high level a year from now and be able to lead and show people what it means to be great. So I do see this as a win-win, even though on the books it might be weird. And yes, this team is definitely in the middle. I do think this is one of those things where you look from the outside, you're all still advertising what you want your program, your franchise, your organization to be.
Yeah.
And this was a good move by them to show people we're building for the foreseeable future. Maybe not the next 2 years or 3 years, but we still are a destination worth looking towards.
Brian Windhorst, it is July 22nd. Okay? And I need some good news. I need the warm feeling. I need the story. Like, this is, listen, if we're talking, if we're in November, December, and this happens later in the time, okay, fine, we can talk about whether they're really going to win this year or not. But for right now, can we lean into nostalgia? Because I covered when he left there pretty deeply, and it was not a great exit. Like, they did not. And he talked about this with Joe Cronin when he said, you know, it was really on us that we never really had those conversations. There was a lot of little things that added up to him feeling, and them not feeling great about him and him not feeling great about them. And you kind of got the sense that he never really wanted to leave. He even said it there. And most of the time when people say that, I don't believe him. I believe Dame Lillard. Like, I believe he never wanted to leave Portland. And so on July 22nd, can we just feel good about things in the Pacific Northwest?
And I
for
think
Dame?
everybody does. As a University of Portland graduate, Damian Lillard was a staple and now is a staple again. It feels right. But it's not just us, Ramona. It's the Trailblazers that we're talking about their ambition, that we're talking about winning, that are looking at their books. I'm going to turn to Bobby from accounting here to make sure that we got the books right. But they are set up here. Damian Lillard's contract is structured so that they can try to make another push.
Well, I mean, I look at it almost like pre-free agency.
Okay.
As far as here we are. And I think we're going to show Portland on the touchscreen right now with them. They were going to be able, they had that non-tax mid-level exception already, right? $14.1 million. Who are you going to use it on? You might as well use it on Damian Lillard, even if he's going to sit out for the whole year. So you get probably one of the best free agents available in 2026, but you get him now. Now, here's where your roster could certainly look like differently next year. If we put him in there for Shaedon Sharpe, now that adds to the dynamic of Lillard and Holiday. Here's some things to keep an eye on. When Damian Lillard signed that contract, the second year descends. Portland is in position next offseason to go out free agent shopping. You'll get a max salary player.
Wow.
That's keep an eye on there, right? The extensions of Shaedon Sharpe and Toumani Camara certainly play a role. But here's the other thing. We forget about this. Remember, Damian Lillard was traded to Milwaukee. Remember what came back. Portland has control of their 2028, 2029, and 2030 Milwaukee Bucks first-round picks. So they are certainly in a position to add in free agency and also go into free agency.
I love that breakdown, Bobby. It's basically, sorry, Wendy, it sounds win-win. You make the fans happy, you make Dame happy, you have flexibility by the books, and you can sign a free agent for the foreseeable future. So maybe the next 2-3 years may not look as bad or less competitive. Like, they're actually putting themselves in good position.
Well, I think they've signaled all year that they are trying to be better this year. They're not tanking again. This isn't playing for the draft again. They found Denny Avdia. They found Klingon. They found Shaedon Sharpe. I mean, I think they have some pieces now to build around. And now they had the hole that they got for Damian.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, it seems like, again, they are not just saying that we're going to bring back Dame. They want to have a couple of moves that Bobby just laid out that they're able to deal here to be able to put a roster around Dame when he comes back to at least be interesting. I don't know if that means a play-in team. I don't know that that means a top 6 team, but at least be interesting here, Wendy. Last word on this.
So the one thing I will say is this kind of reminds me of something that the Indiana Pacers did about 15 years ago, sort of one generation ago.
Yeah.
David West was a respected veteran, former All-Star, was coming off of an ACL tear. People weren't sure what he was going to have left. The Pacers had some young guys, a young Paul George, a young Roy Hibbert, a young George Hill. David West came in and was the veteran who really lifted that whole organization, and they were in the conference finals very quickly. I think that's the kind of bounce that they're hoping to get from Dame Lillard. I'm just saying they're kind of split. They have Jeremy Grant, who's under contract there. They have Jrue Holiday under contract there. These are veteran players that are designed to win and being paid to win now. And then they've got this quartet of young guys. You look at Scoot Henderson, you look at Donovan Clingan, you look at Yang Han-sun, who is a lot of excitement around. And sort of like they're half young, half veteran, and we're in an era where every dollar you spend ends up being important when you're battling with the apron. So what I think, in all honesty, is I think they were going along with their planning, and all of a sudden Dame Lillard landed on the market, and they said, we cannot say no to this. And whether or not that works out or not, they're betting on it working out, and I can understand why they feel that way, but it doesn't fit into what their planning was, in my view.
We saw the Portland Trailblazers close the end of last season with an impressive defensive-minded run here. They're looking with Damian Lillard, now the highest-paid assistant coach that we've ever seen, back on their bench, that they'll be able to capitalize on that. Again, does it translate to... They helped bring the grand total of contracts signed by all players this offseason to over $3.2 billion. I don't know if I've ever seen $3.2 billion anything, but this summer, it hasn't been all about the big bucks. This is more my speed. The value spending. For more on that, here is our newly minted aficionado of the value, Mr. Brian Windhorst.
You know what I'm going to say, Malika. Value.
It's time for Wendy's Value Deal.
This is a key signing for value. Oh, this is a great value signing.
Value contracts, value contracts, value contracts, right? The king of value is here.
Yeah, ask my wife about that. Okay, let's start with the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, it's not just one deal. I want to focus on their entire summer. So they took a first-round pick, Terrence Mann, made a series of deals, and ended up with Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the other end of that, and Luke Kennard. And they got, I think, what was really important as part of the deal they made on draft night to move 10 spots back in the draft. They were able to get an unprotected first-round pick next year. So you look at those maneuvers, a great value summer from the Hawks. All right, number 4. Now I'm going to talk about a player right now who signed a 3-year, $119 million deal. And you would say value for Kyrie Irving? Yes, absolutely. And let me explain. Kyrie Irving took a $7 million pay cut. Now, I know he's recovering from an ACL injury. He's going to miss a big part of this season. But he didn't have to, guys. He had a $43 million player option. He could have picked that up and moved into free agency in 2026. The Mavericks getting him to take that pay cut enabled them to sign D'Angelo Russell, which gives him a replacement, kept them under the second apron. In return, he gets free agency in 2 years. Terrific deal there. All right, number 3. Again, think about the value. What if I told you the Los Angeles Lakers were able to sign a player for $8 million who has had double-doubles in more than half the games in his career? Well, that's what they were able to get with DeAndre Ayton. Was he worth the $35 million he was going to make this year in Portland the way he played the last couple of years? Debatable. Is he worth that and much more as the new starting center for the Lakers, highly motivated to restore his value before hitting free agency next year? You bet. This is a guy who's averaged a double-double, can rebound with anybody in the league, and will be a good rolling partner for Luka Doncic. Great value. Now, if I told you that you could get a guy who averaged 17 points, shot 50% from the field and 39% for 3 for $5 million, what would you say?
Take him.
You would say, absolutely, I will sign Bradley Beal. What an incredible value contract that the LA Clippers got for Bradley Beal, who comes in number 2 here. Now, is he still a $50 million player? The Suns would tell you no, and that's why they waived him. However, at $5 million, 1/10 the cost with that production, especially going to a team that is interested in rehabbing his image and he can be highly motivated to go back into a free agency situation next year, this is ideal for the Clippers. Grade A value. And number 1, a combination maneuver that the Houston Rockets made. What a great offseason for the Houston Rockets. The trade for Kevin Durant. Look, you're getting a first ballot Hall of Famer, still very much in his scoring prime, for what they gave up in that deal. I know that Jalen Green, there's some people who really like him, but that is tremendous value for Kevin Durant. And I also want to talk about the contract for Fred VanVleet. He took over a $15 million pay cut from his player option to get into a 1+1. He can be a free agent again next year. Again, an agreement with the team. Give us a good contract this year. We'll let you go back to the market next year. Do you know what kind of value it is for Fred VanVleet at $25 million a year? Tremendous work by the Rockets on their entire roster, but especially those deals.
I mean, him saying value over and over and over again. Now we see why you're wearing the Rockets red.
Award for Raphael Stone.
Does anyone else still want like a value meal right now? Yeah. Saying that over and over. That's what I'm saying. Everyone likes to get a little bit more.
What happened to the Miami Heat and getting Norman Powell?
That's a good
Brian.
value.
I mean,
That's a good one, Ramona.
Can we extend
That's
that?
a good one. It's not an exhaustive list. You're right.
Okay. All right. I mean, there should be room for
Any others to add?
No, but I'm Team Atlanta. I think that Atlanta number 5 could certainly move up to maybe 1, and I say that because of that New Orleans or Milwaukee first-round pick that could be awfully juicy next offseason.
There are 2 teams, though, that made this list that we've been talking about a whole lot, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers, signing DeAndre Ayton and adding Marcus Smart now, and the Los Angeles Clippers, who have had a very busy last couple of weeks here today. You missed it yesterday. We were debating who had the better offseason, but it's a good thing we have a chance to ask you right now.
Look, are we going to do what we always do?
Yes.
And you know what that is.
You're going to go right on down that middle fast lane.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, sis, I'm not going down the middle fast lane. We know what the greatness will be when it comes to Los Angeles based off of the top tier stars. I always get so excited about the Clippers to start a season, and I always get my heart broken.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to jump back in.
Okay, we're going to jump back in. He's the heartbreak kid.
Look, I would love for both of these teams in the same city to be rivals and to both have great seasons, but I am really intrigued by what the Clippers have done. And I think Wendy was the perfect sell. If you get a 17-point-per-game scorer, on 40% shooting from 3, you're going to be like, oh, my gosh. Now, the only cause for a pause that I have with the Clippers and Bradley Beal is this is one of the oldest, I'm going to assume, rosters in the NBA.
Yep,
CP,
that's correct.
40. Brooke Lopez, 37.
Just say AARP cards.
Yeah, just distribute them at this point. But AJ, nothing but the number, okay, when it comes to Chris Paul and LeBron James and this recent generation of greats who have taken care of their body. Chris Paul played in all games, 82 games last year. So I'm not diminishing that. The only concern I have is we saw an NBA Finals where it was young legs, fresh legs, running, gunning. You have to be able to compete. And the reason why I'm giving a little bit of benefit is they ran into a buzzsaw that was the Denver Nuggets. That series could have gone either way, in my opinion, based on some factors. They are better now than they were before.
Right.
So, yeah.
Look, I was there for that Game 7 when they just absolutely ran out of gas. And you give all the credit to the Denver Nuggets, but that was a very tight series. And what they've done now is added a lot of depth. But to me, the Lakers have the inside track here. If they signed Luka Doncic to that contract extension. Their summer's incomplete until we know if he extends with the Lakers when he's starting to be eligible August 2nd. Now, I don't expect it'll happen August 2nd, but I would be very surprised if he did not extend with them, at least for the shorter-term deal that he could do, because, they have all been behaving and talking in forever term. They've all been talking like we are a partnership now. They took him out to dinner, as Brian and I wrote about a couple weeks ago, right after the season. Rob Pelinka's handed him binders of here's our future plans. He left with that binder and let all the paparazzi photograph him. The Lakers have plans to go visit him in Slovenia this offseason. They're going to go to Eurobasket. I mean, all the signs. He has spent time with Jeannie Buss. They're in contact with the new ownership group that's coming in. This is not a player that's looking like I'm going to leave as a free agent next year.
Right.
And so if he signs, if he extends, even for the short extension, then I think it's absolutely the Lakers.
And he's making the calls multiple times to Marcus Smart, a role we haven't seen him necessarily occupy in the past, and saying, hey, come play with the Los Angeles.
He knows he needs some defense. You know what I'm saying? He needs some help on the perimeter.
Can I be Chennai and just hit it down the middle?
No. Take a stand. Come on now.
All right, I will say,
Come on, Bob.
I think for me, it's the Clippers, just based on John Collins, Brooke Lopez, Bradley Beal, Nick Batum, Chris Paul. However, there's a however to this. My only concern is that there's too many mouths to feed. And I've seen that happen in Brooklyn when I was there. When you have almost too many players.
In fact, did you see the press release that went out for Chris Paul? There was something in it that was a little bit different than other press releases.
They basically stated what his role was going to be. They kind of closed the door that he would be starting, that basically he was going to be in a reserve role. And I think that was important for the Clippers to do. But as Ramona said, listen, if Luka resigns, which I think all intentions are, then certainly what the Lakers have been able to do has been a really good summer.
All right, Brian, you're the fight. Are you going to make this a tie break, or are you making it a tie, or are you piling on?
Well, I agree. I cannot understate or overstate, whatever I'm supposed to say here.
You cannot state.
How much of a disadvantage it was for the Lakers to lose the ability to give Luka the Supermax. He is completely disincentivized in extending his contract this year. Only reason he'd want to is because he believes in the Lakers, a team he did not ask to be traded to. It would be one thing if he said, trade me to LA. And so from the moment that the shock wore off that Luka was a Laker, I have been focused on whether he's going to sign. And the signs point to the signing. And so I am not going to dismiss that as an important moment. I never thought it was a guarantee, even though the Lakers really tried to make it seem like it was no big deal. I think it is a big deal. If it happens, I think the Lakers are one of the big winners of the entire NBA this summer. But I'll tell you what, if you look at what the Clippers spent, about $19 million, and they brought in 3 guys.
The highlights from Vegas, starting with the Summer League champion Charlotte Hornets, led by the number 4 overall pick, Kon Knippel, who went for 15.6 points a game. The Hornets outscored opponents by over 14 a game on their way to a 6-0 record in Las Vegas. And then the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg, played twice in Vegas, showing off his scoring prowess, 31 points in one of them, put up 6 boards, 4 assists, and 3 steals in the other. And the leading scorer in Las Vegas, well, that would be Utah's Kyle Filipowski. Dominated, 29.3 points, 7.7 boards on 56% shooting. What? Filipowski also made 3 3-pointers a game on 39% shooting from distance. And now joining us is the Summer League leading scorer, Kyle Filipowski, averaging nearly 30 a night, made a major statement here for the Utah Jazz. Kyle, we really appreciate you joining the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
We actually have a new accolade that we get to announce right here on NBA Today that you get to add here to your summer. You have been named this year's Summer League MVP, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I had no idea that they actually did that. That's pretty cool that this is something new, actually.
Yeah, it is something new, a little Summer League MVP, and you absolutely deserve it. At what point did you realize that you might be the best player out there on the floor in Las Vegas?
You know, to be honest, I didn't even realize the numbers I was putting up and the stats versus all the other players in the league. You know, obviously I went through this last year, so I was just going out there this year, being able to play free, have fun with it. You know, just having that experience from last year just made me a lot more comfortable.
You may not have known, but we did. We all took notice. It was very, very clear watching you play and the joy that it seemed like you were playing with. The Summer League is about individual development. It's also about getting to gel a little bit, getting to know your teammates, some of your new teammates. You got a chance to know Ace Bailey a little bit. What has the chemistry been like between you two? How has that been?
Yeah, it's been great so far. I mean, obviously he had a little time off just to rest his body, but you know, the 2 games I played with him here in Salt Lake, you know, they were a lot of fun. The fans, the energy, it was ecstatic in the gym. But he's got a great personality. He's got a big, energetic personality. He's a lot of fun to be around. You know, I could definitely, you know, smile some more being around him. But he's just there to, you know, learn from the rest of us, play hard, and have fun through it all.
Yeah, he certainly knows how to crack a joke, a well-timed joke. He was someone I really enjoyed getting to know a little bit around the draft process as well. Kyle, for you, playing in Summer League year 2 versus year 1, you mentioned the comfort that's just a little bit different there. I always appreciate when guys want to get that extra year of development. What do you think you got out of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot out of it. Just a big confidence booster, just being able to remind myself how special of a player I am, but also, you know, even though I was getting some more minutes at the end of last year, this was still a great opportunity for me to keep that momentum moving forward going into year 2.
Kyle, while we have you here, I did want to ask you about an announcement that the ACC made. It's a new policy that came down this morning that's making sure that court storming, while fans are so much fun, also making sure that we're taking it seriously. It's being nicknamed the Kyle Filipowski rule to protect players. What did you think of that?
This is actually the first time I've heard of this, but
really?
I think that's really funny. I think it's great that they made that, and you know, I always wanted to leave my impact on basketball. So if I don't do it any other way, I'm glad I'm able to do it with this.
No, we had a big day here, Kyle. You are the Summer League MVP, and there is an ACC rule named after you. So I think there is a whole bunch of different moments we could be looking back at. But in all seriousness, though, a successful year 2 in the league, when you're looking ahead to next season for you, is what? What would that definition be?
You know, obviously, I think as a team, just improving our record, molding the young guys together. I think that we're really trying to do that and create something special with the young core here. But, you know, individually, I think it doesn't really matter with those accolades. I mean, they are cool and everything and great when you do get them. But I think it's obviously just improving all of my, you know, my efficiency, my plus minus, all of those things, you know, going into year 2, how can I be the best productive, efficient player out there on the court to help us win?
We look forward to watching you in that pursuit. Kyle Filipowski, the 2025 Summer League Most Valuable Player. Thanks so much for stopping by NBA Today, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you. While we're checking out what's happening in Vegas, let's stay in Vegas, Shanae. A little top of the top Summer League edition here. You're going to notice all these themes. The jackpot shots.
Yep.
This is all going to be Vegas themed.
Oh, man, the handle was wild.
Woo, Javon Small. Nothing small about that.
Look at that. Behind the back, clean fillet.
Tough finish here. And then got Jamison Battle. Do you think he called bank on that one, Ramona?
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to go with, yeah.
He was laughing, so probably not. No.
4 seconds left, and he takes it to the bank.
That one's tough, though.
Ooh. Next up, we got the double down denial. You were talking about Yang Hansen and the amount of attention that he's getting at this summer league.
It is amazing.
Oh
I
my
actually
gosh.
did TV in with China. They love him over there.
Yeah, they really
5.5
do.
assists.
Ooh, Jalen Slauson,
That's
though,
not
the
fair.
chase down
That's
block.
not polite at all. Here
LeBron
for it.
James approves, and then Jesse Edwards.
Okay. Okay. Verticality, clean.
Length.
Swatted that all the way into the stands. One more look at that one from above the rim. Yep, that's clean. Next up, Venetian Vision. This is the best dimes. Yuki Kawamura.
Oh, that was pretty.
Ooh. Slick little pass there.
What else we got, Sid? Ooh, oh!
Damian Baugh.
The touch pass, clean. Like, come on.
Behind the back.
Boom, two-handed.
You're champion.
Smooth play all around.
Champion Hornet.
We had to bring Yuki back here.
Oh! Fan favorite. Speaking of fan favorite.
He's been in the league, so he knows.
Yeah, but, I mean, they were not ready. Last, we have high roller hang time. This is the top dunks. I was in the building.
Oh, now I'm
this
getting the
one.
theme. It took me a while.
See, it's like high roller.
Venetian, I see.
Kyrie Irving is loving it. That was the emphatic slam. BJ Edgecombe.
This is what he does.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of
that.
76ers. You just saw Alexa Phillip, who joins me now, because the Indiana Fever, they play their first game tonight on ESPN. Caitlin Clark was unable to participate in WNBA All-Star Weekend with that right groin strain. So, Alexa, what is her availability tonight and the plan for her moving forward?
Yeah, well, Caitlin Clark will not be suiting up tonight. She's actually in meetings with more doctors. She was meeting with some yesterday, finishing those meetings up today. This is probably the most robust round of additional testing and consultation that she's had for the slew of injuries that she's had this season. I do expect that we'll have more of a full report on her status moving forward, perhaps by tomorrow once she's done with all those consultations. It's important to note that after this right groin strain, this is now the third separate injury she's had this season. And so they're really trying to make sure that they're thinking about her long-term health as much as she probably wants to get back on the floor, that they have to take into consideration what's probably best for her. One thing to note probably is that she hasn't practiced since getting hurt last week. So even if she wanted or could come back on the sooner end, there would also a little bit of a ramp-up time like we saw with the previous times that she was out. She obviously has not had that yet, so I would not expect her probably back that much soon, but I think we'll hear more from Coach Stephanie White in the next few days for sure.
That's a really good reminder that she hasn't even had time to practice. Sometimes you have to protect players from themselves. It's always what Chiney is reminding me. The Fever, they've played 10 regular season games and the Commissioner's Cup championships, all with Clark on the sidelines, Chiney. So how have the Fever operated with her out of the lineup? Because their offense looks a little different.
They've honestly done a good job whether she's available or not. But let's start when Caitlin Clark is on the floor. Check out this breakdown because she obviously has one of the greatest gravitational pulls we've seen, not just in the WNBA, but throughout sports, throughout hoops. Okay, so she's going to cross over half court. You have to guard her. Look at how many people are attracted to her. 3 right now just trying to slow down the ball. Nice, beautiful pass to Kelsey Mitchell with a tough layup finish. But then again, you're going to see when she crosses half court, this is what they're used to. Caitlin Clark drawing multiples, and this allows her post player Aaliyah Boston, fellow All-Star, alongside Kelsey Mitchell, to be able to have enough time to really set up her shot. Now, without Caitlin Clark, they still have Kelsey Mitchell, who has done a tremendous job, being that consistent piece for them, actually leading the team at 19 points per game. She has a good chemistry as well with Aaliyah Boston, the longest tenured member of the Indiana Fever. She goes away, vacates, comes back. Nice pick and roll. That's a tough bucket for Kelsey Mitchell. So once again, these two players, Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, have their own chemistry. Caitlin Clark, obviously, when she's on there, makes them that much more lethal. But right now, they're floating. They're managing and they're doing well, knowing that if she's available later on in the season, that's the best case scenario. They're protecting the player from herself. Because we know Caitlin wants to be out there.
She wants to play. But tonight is going to be a little bit of a tough matchup that appears to have gotten even tougher when they take on the Liberty. It's a part of our ESPN doubleheader. And Alexa, you broke the news that New York has signed the 2019 Finals MVP, Emma Miesemann. How does she help this already potent team? It feels like the rich are getting richer, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it, Malika. I mean, this is a player that we've seen win a championship in the WNBA before. She has such year too on international basketball, what she's done in EuroLeague and Eurobasket for Belgium and the Olympics as well. But for New York, this is a player that they think not just raises their ceiling, but also raises their floor. she's such an intelligent basketball player. She's an offensive hub. She can do so many different things on the floor for them. And it gives New York such great positional size. Imagine a lineup with Brianna Stewart at the 1, she's 6'4". Then you have Emma Miesemann, Leo Fibich, both 6'4". Jonquil Jones on the floor as well at 6'6". I mean, that's a front court, that's a lineup that is going to be really hard for everyone to go up against. And I think what's really interesting is that a player like Emma Miesemann, no matter what team she went to, it probably would have had a learning curve given that she would have been joining them mid-season. But she does have a lot of familiarity with players on the Liberty, such as Brianna Stewart, Jonquil Jones. She was coached by Sandy Brondello, Noah Offlange from overseas play. So there's a little bit of familiarity there, and that should hopefully help them whenever she gets her visa approved, because that's a big part of this too. So that could take a couple of weeks. When she gets finally to Brooklyn, that could help things move forward in the right direction.
That's so unfair. So unfair.
Particularly because she mentioned Jonquil Jones. Guess who isn't on the injury report tonight for the first time since the middle of June?
You're kidding me.
So it looks like we're going to get to see JJ in this one. Alexa, thank you so very much. There's so many stories, Shanae, in the Liberty alone are taking up like half of them. But looking towards the second half of the season, what are you watching most closely?
A big second half of the WNBA season means I have to go to the big board.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you guys, I am still riding high on WNBA All-Star and, of course, the People's Champs, the Stud Buds. But with 5 games tonight, it's time to get back to business. Here's my checklist of what I'm looking forward to the second half of the WNBA season. Now, you guys know I love a good rebound. 2 teams are poised to do so, starting with the New York Liberty, who have been obviously down their reigning finals MVP in Jonquil Jones. But as you just heard, they just picked up another one in Emma Miesemann, a champion from Washington Mystics days. Now, Sabrina is looking sharper than ever, the 3-point champ, and Stewie is still the leading scorer at 20 points per game. But their rival, the Las Vegas Aces, should also rebound after a pretty tumultuous start. But if all else fails with their squad, they still have Asia Top-Tier Wilson, who came into All-Star averaging 35.5 points per game the last 2 games, on top of 13 rebounds. Crazy. Now it's time, though, y'all, to check in on the potential party crashers. I'm talking about the Phoenix Mercury and the Atlanta Dream. They could really throw down a party when it comes to the postseason. Let's start with Alyssa Thomas, who is powering the Phoenix Mercury literally to new heights behind her phenomenal passing. She is the all-time leader when it comes to triple doubles, with 12 total in WNBA history, and is currently leading the league in assists. Look at these numbers. This new look squad is already built the chemistry quickly and are 3rd in the standings. Now, another potential party crasher are the Atlanta Dream. And I feel like the A in Atlanta might stand for Alicia Gray, okay? Because she's having career highs in pretty much everything. Look at these, in points, in rebounds, also in assists. She is doing bad all by herself. She has had a tremendous year. I know we saw her in the competitions. She can literally do everything on the floor and is maintaining that competitive fire that will push them up the standings. Now, last but not least, halfway through the season, just like we saw in the All-Star game, we might have a MVP. Nafisa Collier is leading the league in scoring and has the best record in the WNBA. Just 20 wins and just 4 losses, which is wild. 20 wins already and just 4 losses. And this is a thing that really blows me about Fee. Last year, obviously, it was painful when it came to the WNBA Finals, but they took that personally. This is a team that did not make many moves over the past year, but instead, they still are making the requisite improvements to be competitive at the highest level. So this is my